I am so excited to have our special guest speaker, Tristan Montoya, on with us.
He's trained and certified with the Ford Institute for Transformational Training. He's also certified at the mastery level in EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Techniques, with Source Technique, which is a proprietary form of EFT that incorporates spirituality and principles from Helen Schucman's guide entitled A Course in Miracles. Some of you may be familiar with that. In his coaching work and through his own personal transformation, as I mentioned earlier, he has realized that if we're to operate at our highest capacity, we have to fully heal our emotional body. And that's what tonight's call is all about, to help correct our limiting beliefs and learn to practice self-love. And as a practitioner, he uses EFT to help others get to the root cause of their frustration and their blocks, and we all have them in our coaching lives, and that produces a clearing that allows for healing to take place. Again, as Will Hunting said, let the healing begin.
Thank you for the introduction, Dave. It was a pleasure to be introduced like that. We do have a long history going back, and it's amazing to catch up in this aspect and be sharing in this field of personal growth and development. This is this is an area that I've been involved in for a number of years, and just by catching up and talking about Dave and Sarah and I caught up yesterday and just really kind of went over our past and what got us to this point. And I got into network marketing. It actually was 10 years ago. I was doing the math, and it turns out it was 10 years exactly almost that I got into network marketing. And I was very ambitious, and I had all these big dreams, and I decided that this was going to be it, and I was going to really do it. And I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I strained myself, and I really thought I could make it happen, and then something just wasn't working for me. And I let an old pattern get in the way, which was quitting. It was giving up before I had gotten the results that I wanted. And I had to look at why. That was a critical time in my life because not only either way I didn't achieve success, and that was a problem for me. So I had to take a look at what was in the way. And for me, at that particular time in my life 10 years ago, I was having an emotional crisis. All the things that I had repressed throughout my childhood, teen years, and early 20s had all started to bubble up to the surface, and I just kept pushing them down. And as much as I was into personal development at the time, trying to get my mind to give me the results, for me it was all about straining my mind and bending my thoughts to create this reality that looked a lot better than the life I was leading. The trouble is my subconscious beliefs hadn't really been brought to the surface and released, and so I was trying to create new beliefs with my conscious mind, and my subconscious and unconscious beliefs were really running my life. And until I had that awareness, I was hopeless to change it. So that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce EFT, which is the Emotional Freedom Technique. It involves meridian tapping. It's literally tapping on your face. There are points on the face, which are acupressure points. We're going to be using our fingers to stimulate those points, and we're going to use our own language. What I'll do as a practitioner, is I speak to an individual about their issue. I work with high-performing individuals who want to advance themselves professionally. I've worked with people that have made breakthroughs in their relationships with their partners. There's been amazing breakthroughs. I worked with another individual who is actually in the network marketing field. He's in a similar company like Beachbody. He's actually in Herbalife, and he came to me on his birthday, actually, and said, I got to get in, you've been talking about what you do, belief changing. I got to do this. I got to see what it's all about. I'm having trouble increasing my monthly income. We did a session, and he gets back to me a couple weeks later, and he said, you won't believe this. I just tripled my November income. This was last year. And he said, what you did worked, and I don't know how you did that, because we went all the way back to childhood with him. We went back to 5th grade for him, and we found this situation in his life that basically, from that one situation, he was holding on to a limiting belief that he wasn't good enough. And so many people have the same issues. There's something from our childhood, from our upbringing, from our early adult formative years, whatever it is, we take on these beliefs. And as long as those beliefs is what our operating system is operating off of, that's what controls our life. So what I'm talking about, let me give you a quick overview of what I'm talking about, and then we're going to get into the practice of EFT, and I'll take a volunteer. What it is it actually involves practitioner leading the session, while the recipient is actually tapping on their own meridian points. So what we're doing is this is what they also call it, instead of energy work, we call it energy psychology, because in essence what I'm doing when I conduct a session is you can think of me like a therapist, only the therapy is actually taking your unconscious beliefs, bringing them to the surface, and then tapping on the meridian points to release the emotion, which is stored energy. It's trapped energy. So emotion stands for energy in motion. And if we're experiencing a block, that means somehow our energy has stopped moving. We've trapped it. So if our emotions are trapped, then all of a sudden we've got symptoms, right? So the EFT discovery statement, the EFT was more or less formulated by a man named Gary Craig. Gary Craig came up with something called the EFT discovery statement, and he says the cause of all negative emotions is a disruption in the body's energy system. So if the negative emotion, or symptom in this case, is appearing on the surface, then what we've got to do is look at the body's energy system. We have to look for the disruption. And what we're going to find usually is something that's been unprocessed, okay? It's a belief, it's a thought, it's an emotion. It's something that's under the surface that we need to bring to the surface and release in order to get back to our highly functioning, productive self. And I'm going to get to the point real quick, because everyone's kind of like, okay, so what is this EFT thing? And you've talked about energy, you've talked about emotions. How does it all make sense? Why do I care? How does it affect my business? Here's how it affects your business. Because if you're doing any type of personal development work, which I know from network marketing is highly encouraged, you're always wanting to build up your mind and strengthen your mind, and this is a great practice. But what I noticed, what I found out 10 years ago when I got into network marketing, was I was negligent of my emotions. So my emotional body was suffering. I was suffering because of my emotions. You'll see a picture of a glacier, and the glacier shows at water level, you've got 10% of that glacier above water and 90% below water. What that image is representing is the conscious mind versus the unconscious or subconscious mind. So if 10% of your conscious mind is above water, that means you're operating with your conscious mind only 10%. So all the decisions that you make and all the beliefs that you have that you're conscious of, that's only 10% of your mind. And so imagine trying to create a new belief like, I will succeed. Imagine this just for a second. You're running your own business. You've got, you set your goals. You're really empowered. You're feeling good about yourself. And you say, I'm going to hit my monthly sales goal, my income goal. These are the things I want. And then you go and try to attain them. And for some reason, you're falling short. Month after month, week after week. You're becoming discouraged now because you're setting the goal and you're not hitting it. You're wondering why. This is really frustrating. I've gone through it myself. My body, mind, and spirit weren't in alignment. So what that basically means is that the subconscious is the 90%. That's the spirit. There's this inner intelligence inside each one of us, and that inner intelligence has all the answers. It'll do what it's programmed to do. But let me give you a caveat right here. The caveat is that your subconscious is also designed to protect you. Its job, its primary function, is to protect your psyche from further damage. So what it's doing is it's basically, anytime it perceives fear, it's going to put up a reflex mechanism like, whoa, that's unsafe, and it goes into protect mode. Okay, so if you want to get scientific, at the back of the brain, there's a part of the brain called the amygdala. The amygdala is linked to our fight or flight mechanism. So if we're all operating, we all have this, these genetic lineage dating back to prehistoric times, and when we started to run around and carry clubs and try to wield off reptiles and dinosaurs and things like that. This was an instinct built into us. If we could survive under those conditions, then that's how we exist today. We can attribute our survival based on this part of the brain triggering that reaction, that if there's danger, to jump. Okay, so it's the fight or flight. Now imagine we're in modern day life now, and all we need to do is just accomplish our goals. We just need to carry out our lives, and we need to be able to move forward without getting sidetracked and having all these things in our way. What happens is that we're always in a fight or flight, and if we're in the fight or flight, we're not thinking clearly. Okay, we're perceiving fear where there is no fear, and that's a problem because it takes us out of the direct focus on what it is we want. So if you want to make a clear line, if the path from A to B is a straight line and you're zigzagging, then we've got to take a look at why. And what happens is there are unconscious agreements in your belief system. There may be a conscious thought that says I want to succeed, but then there's this unconscious agreement that says I'm going to stay safe at all costs. And if success looks unsafe in any way, then your fight or flight goes into panic mode whenever something happens. And let me give you an example. That might be, what if I can't pay the bills? What if the kids don't get fed this? I don't bring in enough money. So all of these things are basically triggering us when all they are is it's just information. All of life as we move through it, it's just things happening, right? Situations that are occurring, circumstances that arise, and it's how we ascribe meaning to those situations that makes or breaks us. If it's just information, then it's not bothering us. But if we're reacting to everything that happens, then it puts us in a state of victim. And if we're in a state of victim, then we're disempowered. To get our power back, we have to choose to be the victor of our lives. We have to choose responsibility. We have to choose courageousness. We have to choose willingness, and the willingness happens to be where we're at today. We're on this call because we're willing to better ourselves. We're willing to do the work. We're willing to uncover these hidden beliefs that keep us where we're at. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I've given you a little bit of background about what EFT is. It's an energy work modality. It's also known as energy psychology or meridian tapping. This is the tool we're going to use today. It's worked wonders on the clients that I've worked with and myself. I've transformed my life. I've taken all that emotional baggage that I was carrying, and I completely shed that emotional baggage. Not only that, I completely rewired my belief system, and I programmed in, first of all, I had to deprogram all these useless thoughts that weren't serving me anymore and that were just set up to protect me. Once I realized that they were just protecting me from God knows what, now I can make a straight shot towards that. So that's what I'm going to be assisting this volunteer with. You're not the actual volunteer. Just listen. Listen for some of the beliefs that may be your own beliefs, because a lot of times when we do tapping in groups, people have the same collective beliefs. We're all humans, and we all share this human experience, and we all have similar limiting beliefs. So keep track of what she's saying and what her beliefs are. Maybe that's something that you haven't thought of. So maybe we're bringing your unconscious beliefs to the surface, right? So we can keep track of what's coming up for you as you do this. And you can also tap along. Just because there's one volunteer, it doesn't mean the rest of you can't tap. You can tap along with us as I lead this one individual through the process. And what that's called is there's benefits to be had if you just tap along. It's called borrowed benefits. You're borrowing the benefits from the person who's volunteering because, like I said, her situation may be similar to yours. Or have an open mind as far as this process. At this point, I'm going to take a volunteer. I'm going to walk her through what it's like to work through some of her limiting beliefs, and we're going to experience a clearing, because really to have knowledge in any situation, you need the understanding and you need the experience. I've given you a little bit of the understanding around this, and if you want to check out tapping more, you can go to thetappingsolution.com. You can check out my website, spiritualsuccess.co, and there's more information on tapping. And we're also going to distribute some handouts so that you can tap at home with some instruction after this session. So with that said, I will pause for a second. Sarah, I'll bring you back on. You can bring in the volunteer.
Okay. Thank you. Our volunteer this evening is Natalie Bright. She is a diamond coach on the team and a leader on the team, and she has volunteered this evening. So her line is unmuted. Natalie? Tristan.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, good.
Cool. So first of all, tell me what it means to be diamond level.
Diamond level. Basically, it means I have created I like to say a tribe alongside me. I have a team that I collaborate with and work alongside where basically we get together and I help them build their businesses, and they in return pretty much inspire me daily to keep pushing forward and hitting my goals. So
great. So you'd call yourself a leader?
Yeah. Actually, I would. I wouldn't have considered myself one probably like a year ago, but I would say yes, I've definitely fallen into that path.
Great. It sounds like, and it's a great position to be in because, like you said, they get to inspire you, and then you get to in turn help them, and it's just a win-win, reciprocal exchange, which is great in business when everybody wins.
Exactly.
Cool. So, do you know anything about EFT?
I actually do. That's why I was so excited about this. My sister, I believe, got certified last year in EFT. I have not ever gone through it personally, but she is an art therapist, and she's actually gone through and done some other training and things alongside that too. So I am familiar.
Great. Have you had a tapping session done, or have you practiced it on yourself?
No, I have not.
Okay. So this is something, like I said just before you got on, I will. I've given some sheets to Sarah that she can send out so that each of you can practice this at home. It's going to give you a diagram of what points to tap on and what words to say, really. You just need some opening phrases, and you need to kind of locate the symptoms. What I'm trained to do is go a little bit deeper. So generally, the way we look at it is like this. Every issue is a table, and the table has legs, and there's an indeterminate amount of legs. There could be 1,000, and there could be all different things like, I don't know how, that it's not enough time, I was never taught how, it's too hard. There could be lots of legs. The point is I'm going to find the most important legs that are holding up that issue. And we're going to do that. We're going to see if we can collapse some of those big legs. And once we collapse them, the issue comes down, and you're going to experience a relief. We're going to do a measurement. We're going to check in and say, on a comfort level, 10 being the most uncomfortable, 0 being neutral or completely at ease, where are you? And you're going to give me a number. We're going to see if that number moves. So before we get into taking a measurement of where we're at, first we got to find an issue. So, Natalie, tell me, relating to your business, since everyone here is on the call about business and how they can get better and grow as a person and have experience breakthroughs and have more success, what is it that you're working with right now? What's on your mind? What's not working well? What would you like to work better in your life?
I say number one, of my time. I always catch myself saying, I don't have enough time. I can't do that because I don't have enough time, or I find myself really struggling to get everything done that I want to get done because of my issues with time. So that's probably number one for sure.
Okay. So let's go over a couple things real quick, and then we're going to get into where this came from. First of all, I want to know how long this has been a pattern.
Definitely where I'm aware of it, the last 6 months for sure. The last 6 months I've really caught myself making excuses all the time about it.
Okay. So what brought it on? What brought it on? What specific moment do you remember where you didn't have enough time and it cost you something?
Let's see here. Oh, I know. We're planning a wedding, and I'm getting married next month, actually. And so I think it was probably like a month ago where I realized I've had pretty much like little breakdowns the last couple months just because it's like, I'm trying to do all this stuff, and I can't get it all done at once, and I'm trying to, run a team, do this, do that, reach my goals, hit all this stuff. And I know it was one day we were trying to book stuff, get like reservations and stuff for our wedding. It was like I can't balance one thing and then let other stuff suffer. And so I think that was probably like a month ago where I really noticed the issues.
Okay. So what's most important about this is now that you've told me the event, and thank you for sharing that situation that occurred, but here's the most important part around that event. what did you make it mean about yourself? What did you take on as a result of that? What did you think about yourself? What was the negative voice saying?
Probably failure. Like, that was my main fear was, oh, I'm going to fail at one of these things I'm trying to juggle, that, something's bound to fall that I'm going to feel like I failed at.
Okay. So I'm bound to fail. That's what belief you came up with? I'm bound to fail at something? At one?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you check in, you mentioned the word fear, but if I want you to just check in and see what the predominant feeling is around this situation. Is it fear? Is it something else? What's the predominant feeling that's going on around this situation?
Probably stress, honestly, above even like feeling, scared or fearful or anything like that. It's more just like the stress and anxiety towards that fear of failure.
Yeah, definitely. And stress is one of those. EFT is basically the perfect stress reliever, because stress, we know, is entirely created by the mind. And so what we're doing is energy psychology, which basically dismantles the incorrect thinking of the mind. So the mind can pretty much do whatever it wants if it's left unchecked. Do you understand that?
Yep.
So the mind can create stress out of nothing. It can take a situation or several, put them all together, create an issue around it, and then say, oh my God, it's unmanageable. I don't know what I'm going to do. And it creates a panic in us. So what we can do is essentially start to bring up these emotions and tap them out, literally tap on them until the energy diffuses and we're left in a much more present and aware state of mind so that we can operate our lives. Does that sound better than what you're experiencing?
Oh, yeah. Way better.
So I want you to, we're going to do two things. I'm going to check in with you and just see where you're at on a level of 0 to 10, 10 being the most uncomfortable, 0 being neutral. Number.
Like as in right now, how comfortable I am?
As far, yeah, around this issue of stress and anxiety.
I have 6 or 7, actually, because it's definitely pretty high up there.
Excellent. So 6 or 7 is your level of discomfort.
Yep. That makes more sense.
Excellent. So we've located your fears or feelings. The underlying feeling is stress. Above all else, it's just the stress that's produced from the situation. We've taken a look at, some of the situations in your life where this originated. So we're just bringing these things into your awareness. What we're doing is just doing a little bit of discovery here. It's like detective work. We're going through and just searching the mind for what it's latching onto, because as long as the thoughts and emotions are connected to one another, it creates another feeling like a stressful feeling or a fearful feeling or, a depressed feeling. So what we're doing is diffusing that link between the thought and the emotion and going back to neutral. So I want to before we get started, I want to just explore this a little bit more and just find some of these table legs that I was talking about, these beliefs that are really holding this issue up and supporting the pattern of stress in your life. So I'll ask you a couple questions, and I just want you to finish the sentence for me, okay?
Okay.
So I feel like I'm going to fail at one of these activities because...
I feel like I'm going to fail at one of these activities because I don't have the time to do I can't commit to doing everything.
Okay. And I can't commit to doing everything because?
I can't commit to doing everything because I don't have a very good grasp of balancing everything. My time frame is definitely a little twisted right now.
Okay. So what is it? You don't have a grip on balancing things?
Yeah, I don't have a good grip on balancing and prioritizing my daily tasks.
Okay. So what's the belief underneath that? So I feel like I don't have a good grip on balancing because...
say I don't have a good grip on balancing because I feel like basically I take on more than I can do, basically.
Okay. How long have you been doing that?
Oh, a long time.
What's that costing you?
Oh, a lot. Like probably relationship issues, lack of time with family, lack of time doing stuff that I want to do.
Okay. So do you want this pattern to continue?
No way. No way.
So I'm holding this pattern in place because?
Habit. I think because I keep myself there. Instead of pulling myself out and trying, new routes, new ways of approaching things, I just habitually keep doing the same thing.
Okay. And I habitually keep doing the same thing because?
Fear of change, maybe? Fear of changing and getting results I don't want. That's probably it.
Okay. Have you ever said these things out loud before, or said these to another person? Had these thoughts?
Maybe a little bit, but more so thought of them, but I don't think I've ever actually, voiced them.
Okay. And I have this fear of change because?
Fear of change because I don't know, man. Probably because I get really weird when stuff's out of place or out of order. I really like stuff neat and tidy and predictable. So if it's changing, then I can't really predict it.
Right. Okay. So I want to stop there for a second. And I just want to show you that when I introduced everyone to EFT at the very beginning, and I'm just using you as an example. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what I talked about at the beginning was these unconscious beliefs, right? So we make a decision in our conscious mind that I want to hit my goals. I want to be a good leader for my team. I want to achieve this outward success. But there's an operating system that's running that we're unaware of. Until we do this belief-changing work, there's something running us that we're unaware of. Usually, like I talked about, this is the subconscious wanting to keep us safe. So this part of us that wants to keep us safe, you've just revealed that belief. I like things predictable. I don't like things to change. Change is scary. Change is if I can keep things under control, that's when life works. So this is the erroneous belief system that's now operating. Are you committed to keeping this belief system?
No, I don't want to keep it.
So you would like to release this and shift into a new way of thinking, correct?
Oh, yes, very much so.
Okay, so tell me what that would look like. What would you rather have than this?
I would much rather have a little bit more faith and trust in the change, in faith and trust in myself, I guess, That makes, yeah.
Do you have a higher power?
Do I personally have a higher power?
Yeah.
Yes, I would say so, yes.
What do you call your higher power?
Usually just higher power. I don't refer to as God or anything like that.
Okay. Would you call it source, energy, universe?
Yes. Yeah, source energy.
Okay. Source energy. Perfect. Is it okay if I use that in a sequence?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. I like to draw on, the way Dave introduced me was he talked about the way I use EFT with principles of A Course in Miracles, spirituality. What the Course in Miracles actually talks about is it talks about the mind being the only part of us that needs healing. It's only the mind. It's even if the body has an illness, it's the mind that created that illness. So heal the mind, the body heals itself. Okay, our internal intelligence system heals the entire body. But what we have to do is we have to focus on the thought system that we have. It doesn't seem like, but we have control over that. It just seems like sometimes it seems like that we're the mind, and wherever the mind goes, we have to go, and it takes us all over the place. And if it has a sad thought, then the mind goes with that sad thought, and then that sad thought connects with another sad thought, and all of a sudden we're depressed. So what we're doing is we're taking back control of the mind, and we're seeking to heal some of these erroneous thought patterns that keep you kind of in these old ways of being, this habitual ways of being, like you talked about. This is a habit. You said this is just a habit. This is the way it's been. This is the way I've always been. So we're changing the habit. We're going into the subconscious, and we're releasing some of these habitual behaviors that have only served to protect you. If we can take away the feeling, the charge around this need to protect, then it frees you up to be what you want in the world, which is having more faith and more trust in yourself. What would you do with more faith and trust in yourself? What would that look like?
Sorry, I'm just writing stuff down real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that would look, and what's funny as you're talking and stuff, one of the main reasons I got into coaching was like for the freedom and for, the ability to really control your life and to be able to do what you want with it. So that was always my big push. So having more faith and having more trust would ultimately get me to where I've always wanted to get with the business and just with life in general, with having freedom and total belief in where I'm at, where I'm trying to get myself, and just in life as a whole.
Okay. So, I just want to check in on time real quick. How much time do you have to be on this call?
We can keep going because it's okay. I can be a little late.
Do we have at least 15 minutes?
Yeah. Yep, we can do that. That'll put 9:30 here.
Great. So let's plan on that. I want to give you at least 15 minutes of actual tapping so that we can get through this issue and bring you down to a comfortable, manageable level and release some of these beliefs and limiting thoughts. So you were, I'm going to point out that you were a little bit vague, and it may be just because we're on this call and we don't have, maybe you felt like there wasn't enough time to go into this, but when I asked you what you wanted as far as your business, the only thing I really discerned from that was freedom. The rest was a little bit vague about what it is that you actually want. So what would that look like? If you had freedom in your business or life or what have you, what would that look like? What does freedom look like? What are you doing? What are you able to do now?
Travel. That's my number one thing is I would love to be able to travel, to be able to basically travel all over the country, world, just be able to have the ability to reach people outside of my area by traveling, and to also just have the freedom to help more in terms of family and debts with family and things like that. So just the freedom to really be able to own my time, own my ability to do more with my time.
Okay. Perfect. And have you clarified those goals for yourself, like in prior to this call?
Yep. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So these are out in the open. These are written down. These are some things that you're consciously working towards.
Yep, they're written above my head, actually.
Great. So what has it been like wanting to attain this? What's come up?
That's exactly where, like, the stress and the anxiety and the issues have lied. I think it feels a sense of pressure in a way, where I have these big goals. I have a lot of stuff I want to do, but it's kind of scary. So the fear arises, and then, all of the other anxious moments take place almost because of that fear of failure.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds, again, we're going to, I just want to bring this into your awareness that the pressure is also self-created, is it not?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So there's all these good intentions. There's this great intention to have freedom, to be able to travel, to reach people outside of your area, to help your family. And, guess what? Did your family come to you and say, you need to support us, Natalie. It's time for you to start making more money. So you can. Did they say that?
Nope.
Okay, so it's the pressures come from you. It's internal pressure that you're kind of putting on yourself. So what if we could lessen that pressure and just put you back in a space of creation and ease and receptivity to what life wants to give you instead of trying to force it to happen? Would that interest you?
Oh, yeah, that sounds way better.
Okay. So we want to just acknowledge when we do, I'm also trained in shadow work, and what we do in shadow work is we make the darkness conscious. It's a Carl Jung principle. Carl Jung always said, enlightenment's not imagining figures of light, it's making the darkness conscious. In EFT, we're doing the same thing. We're making the darkness conscious. We're making these things that normally we don't want to talk about. We're bringing them up into the open and then releasing the energy, because that's all it is. It's trapped energy. It's emotions, remember, is energy in motion. If the emotions are trapped, it's stuck energy. Okay, and when there's stuck energy, there's pressure. When there's pressure, that it produces symptoms. The symptoms in this case are stress, anxiety, and fear. All we have to do is release the energy. All right. So, are we still at a 6 or 7?
Yeah, for now.
Okay. So you're relatively familiar with tapping. So I'm going to give you a brief overview. Since you don't have a diagram in front of you, just listen to what I'm saying, and this is very easy to get, and everyone can who's listening in can just follow along. I'm going to use the fingers on my right hand to tap the side of my hand on the left side. Okay, so I'm using the right hand to tap the side of the left hand. You can call this the karate chop point. If you were to karate chop a plank of wood, that's the side of the hand, right? You're essentially tapping the side of the hand. I like to go a little bit higher and tap right at the base of the pinky. It's kind of like right on the side of the hand where the pinky meets the hand. That's where I like to tap. There's a few different ways to do this, but that's where I'm going to tap today, all right, at the base of the pinky. When we open up the tapping sequence, we use a setup statement. The setup statement sounds like, even though I have this blank, I'm willing to accept myself completely. There's a lot of variations, but that's how it generally sounds. And I'm going to repeat the setup statement 3 times while we tap the side of the hand. Once we've done the 3 setup statements, I'm going to shift to the top of the head, and we're going to go through a cycle. And the cycle of tapping involves, usually there's up to 13 points, but just follow me along. I'm going to give you the easiest points here. We're going to tap, you're going to use the right hand, and you're going to tap the top of the head. Okay, it's the crown of the head, kind of where a yarmulke, like a Jewish yarmulke, where you'd place that. And tap in a little circle, like you're tapping the outer rim of the yarmulke. Crown of the head, tap in a little circle. Okay, that's 1 point. The next point is the eyebrows. You can tap it's basically like the inside of the eyebrow. You can do both sides at once. You can use you can put your fingers in a peace sign, and then one, basically each finger taps either side of the eyebrows. Okay, so when I say eyebrows, I mean right there. Got it?
Yep. Good.
Okay. The next point is the side of the eye, and you can just trace the eye. You can trace the bone around the eye socket and then tap on the side of the eye. Okay, on the bone. And then the next point is under the eye. And again, you can just trace the eye, trace the bone right underneath the eye socket, and now we're underneath the eye, tapping on the bone again. So we're stimulating the energy meridians. The meridians run through the face and body, all the way down to your feet. Okay, but we're just going to use the face and body today, all right? The next point is under the nose. Okay, for men it's like the mustache area. So you're tapping under the nose. The next point is on the chin, and it's really, instead of the chin itself, it's that little divot between the lips and the chin. It's that little divot. Tap right there. Okay. The next point is the collarbone, and it's really where the collarbone meets in the middle. There are like these 2 little nodules sticking out, and you can just use either hand, right or left, to tap on that collarbone point. Okay? Got it?
Yep. I have a question, though. When you tap, do you tap with just like your pointer finger, or are you tapping with the entire hand?
I'm using about 4 fingers usually. I'm generally using 4 fingers, and
okay.
Yeah, you really want to, like with tapping, you want to make sure you're hitting the point, so the more fingers, the better, and it just works well that way. So the next point I'm going to show you is over the heart, and for men it's right above. It's the pectorals basically. For women it's the upper chest. So it's below your collarbone, but above the nipple, if that makes sense. And you're basically you can use two hands over the heart. I call this over the heart, and you can use two hands tapping in little circles around your heart. Okay. Sometimes I'll also use the sternum. So if I say the sternum, you're just tapping the chest plate right over the sternum. Just tap, tap, tap. All four fingers tapping on the chest plate. I may even, if you're sitting down, I may use the knees right next to the kneecaps on the inside, left and right, same time. You can use the left hand taps the left inside knee, the right taps the inside right knee. Okay? Got it?
Got it. Yep.
Those are the only points we're going to use. I'm going to keep it real simple, and we're going to jump right into this. So do you have some water?
Yep, I do.
Take a big drink before we get started.
Okay. I am ready.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to have you just take a deep breath in through the nose and then exhale through the mouth so I can hear it. I didn't hear
Do you hear it?
No, I didn't. There we go. All right. Now, the point of the breath before we start is just to clear any residual energy that we're coming in with. Just get it out of the way. Now we're going to go straight into our first tapping sequence. You're tapping, the right hand taps the left side of the hand, and you're going to repeat after me. Okay?
Okay.
Even though I have this stress and anxiety.
Even though I have this stress and anxiety.
I'm willing to release it.
I'm willing to release it.
Even though I've got this fear of failure.
Even though I've got this fear of failure.
I'm willing to see myself with total compassion.
I'm willing to see myself with total compassion.
Even though I make excuses and I take on too much.
Even though I make excuses and I take on too much.
I accept myself profoundly.
I accept myself profoundly.
Okay, top of the head in a little circle. I acknowledge that I have this pressure.
I acknowledge that I have this pressure.
And I created it.
And I created it.
Okay, tapping on the eyebrows. And I have this fear.
And I have this fear.
But I'm willing to release it.
And I'm willing to release it.
On the side of the eye. There's a fear of change.
Can you repeat that one? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I have this persistent fear of change.
I have this persistent fear of change.
Under the eye. Because I like things predictable.
Because I like things predictable.
Under the nose. I'm willing to see this differently.
I'm willing to see this differently.
On the chin. I'm willing to consider.
I'm willing to consider.
That change isn't so bad.
That change isn't so bad.
On the collarbone. Even though I don't have enough time.
Even though I don't have enough time.
And I take on too much.
And I take on too much.
I'm willing to give myself a break.
I'm willing to give myself a break.
Over the heart. Even though this has become a pattern to take on too much.
Even though this has become a pattern to take on too much.
I'm willing to see myself with compassion.
I'm willing to see myself with compassion.
Okay, over the sternum. I'm afraid of failing.
I'm afraid of failing.
Inside the knees. I just don't want to let anyone down.
I just don't want to let anyone down.
All this fear of failure.
All of the fear of failure.
I'm willing to release it.
I'm willing to release it.
Top of the head. I'm willing to experience peace instead.
I'm willing to experience peace instead.
Over the eyebrows. I'm willing to release the stress.
I'm willing to release the stress.
It doesn't serve me anymore.
Doesn't serve me anymore.
Side of the eye. I'm willing to release this pressure.
I'm willing to release this pressure.
This pressure from setting big goals.
This pressure from setting big goals.
Under the eye. I'm willing to give myself a break.
And I'm willing to give myself a break.
Under the nose. I accept myself completely.
I accept myself completely.
On the chin. I release my fear.
I release my fear.
I give it to source energy.
I give it to source energy.
And I ask to be healed.
And I ask to be healed.
Over the collarbone, on the collarbone. I ask for healing of my mind to take place.
I ask for healing of my mind to take place.
Because that's all this is.
Because that's all this is.
Over the heart. I choose peace instead of this.
I choose peace instead of this.
Over the sternum. I choose freedom instead.
I choose freedom instead.
Inside the knees. I choose to create the life that I can imagine for myself.
I choose to create the life I imagine for myself.
On the top of the head. I'm entitled to a healthy, happy, successful life.
I'm entitled to a healthy, happy, successful life.
On the eyebrows. Even though I've created this pattern.
Even though I've created this pattern.
And it's created stress in my life.
And it's created stress in my life.
I'm willing to forgive myself.
I'm willing to forgive myself.
Side of the eye. My mistakes have never altered who I really am.
My mistakes have never altered who I really am.
Under the eye. I am as source energy created me.
I am as source energy created me.
Under the nose. I'm willing to see myself as competent and capable.
I'm willing to see myself as competent and capable.
On the chin. I'm willing to see infinite possibilities for myself and my business.
I'm willing to see infinite possibilities for myself and my business.
Over the heart. As I let these old patterns go.
As I let these old patterns go.
I make room for new, empowering patterns that support me.
I make room for new, empowering patterns that support me.
Over the sternum. I choose to become empowered.
I choose to become empowered.
Inside the knees. I choose to be fully expressed in this lifetime.
I choose to be fully expressed in this lifetime.
Top of the head. Divine love is guiding me.
Divine love is guiding me.
And there's nothing to fear.
And there's nothing to fear.
I am who I am.
I am who I am.
I'm doing my best.
I'm doing my best.
And that's all I can do.
And that's all I can do.
That's enough.
That's enough.
I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of myself.
I'm giving myself a break.
I'm giving myself a break.
And I'm choosing peace from here on out.
And I'm choosing peace from here on out.
Take a deep breath in. Breathe out powerfully. Okay. And just check in with yourself. I want to get a reading on that number again. Where's that number at now? 0 being neutral.
Way lower, that's for sure. That's awesome. That's awesome. I would say, like, easily a 1 or a 2.
Okay, perfect. 1 or 2 is great.
Yeah.
You experienced it today, right?
Oh, yeah, it's like a blanket's ripped off of you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all the emotional weight you've been carrying connected to these thoughts. So these thoughts have created all this stress, and then the thoughts have connected to emotions, and then you've taken your past events and brought those into the picture, and then added all these future fears, and it's. Do you see the web that we can create?
Yep.
Yeah.
Vicious.
The mind can create this web of lies. It's just fabricated. It's just fabricated scenarios that may or may not happen. And why do we live at the mercy of these scenarios? That's the question. So when we can undo these things, we start to experience more of what you wanted in your life, which is freedom, right?
Yep, exactly.
So are you in a rush to get off the phone? Are you needing to run? Or do you want to do
Let me see what time it is. I can probably hang on for like 5 more minutes, and then
okay.
I definitely have to go.
Definitely. All right, so let's decompress. Let's just take a look. You've experienced a shift. You're feeling lighter. What I like to do is, since we're about at a 1 or 2, and since I have a few more minutes, let's just go into this a little bit more. And let me ask you a couple questions, and then we'll see if we can get you down to a 0. Otherwise, we'll look at, there's definitely going to be inspiration coming from this new place, so we're going to talk about that a little bit too, and show everyone what's possible when you make this shift. So answer this for me. Just finish the sentence. I'm still at a 1 or 2 in discomfort because?
I'm still at a 1 or 2 just because I probably haven't really even been able to think about how I feel right now. Okay. That's probably the main reason. I need to take it all in.
Yeah, still need to process it. So what's the predominant feeling right now? What are you experiencing?
Relief, a lot of relief. Just kind of, like the best example is just, it feels like a blanket's been ripped off. I feel a lot lighter, a lot calmer.
Good. What do you mean by a blanket's been ripped off? What was that? Was that blanket a good thing, a bad thing?
Like weight, like the weight. It just, like I felt, before doing all of that, I felt very heavy, so it was almost like a lot has been lifted off.
Yeah. So let me just ask you this, and I want you to use your intuition.
Yeah.
What was the message that blanket had for you? What was it there for? What did it want to tell you? What was its reason for being?
Probably comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that feel like to have that blanket pulled away?
Well, it wasn't very comfortable having it there, so it's
ironic?
So I know. It was freeing, a lot more freeing having that gone.
Great. So from this new place of feeling free, what's possible in your life?
Really anything I want,
Right. So what are you able to do that you weren't able to do before?
Be kinder and more gentle with myself, for sure, and approach things in a much slower, less stressful way, and trust a little bit more, I would say.
Got it. What are you able to trust now? Because that was one of the things we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah, I would say just kind of trust the journey that I'm on for what it is, and not let myself keep those stressors and all of the pressure that I was putting on myself, let that hold me.
Yeah, definitely. That's beautiful. So let me ask you this, since we're going to get off the phone and you're going to go back to your daily life, what can you do to implement this new awareness? What action step can you take in your life this week that would allow you to integrate this new wisdom, this new awareness?
I will definitely be applying it to the way I set up my days, in the sense of not trying to put myself in the position of having to do it all and having to say yes to everything, and to, make commitments that I don't have to make and that I don't need to make. So I'll be applying that right away.
Great. And I trust you have an accountability team. This team Team Believe is all about holding each other accountable, supporting each other, right?
Yep.
Perfect. So
yeah, we have an amazing team for that.
Great. So you've got a whole network of people that can hold you to that. They've just heard your commitment to yourself, to take it easy, to not take on as much, to be more gentle with yourself, and to trust the journey. Have you written those down?
I will do that right now.
Okay, perfect. So let me tell you about action steps. As you're writing, just listen. Action steps are important because when we commit to them and then carry them out, we're communicating to our consciousness that we're actually committed to changing, that we're actually doing the things that bring about change. And when you communicate to your consciousness that you're ready to change, guess what? Things start to change. Okay? You fulfill, you make good on your promises. So what we do to build integrity with ourselves is we make commitments and we meet them, we fulfill them. And as we do this, we build this personal integrity, this trust with ourselves. And as we trust ourselves, we trust our intuitive voice. As we trust our intuitive voice, we trust the guidance, that our inner guidance system. That's our relationship with source energy, God, Creator, all that is. That's what guides us. That's what gives us peace. The mind is what brings us, all over the place. It's what keeps us scrambling and struggling and scrimping and wondering why things aren't working out. So it's really your connection to source which puts you back in alignment with everything. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Do you feel complete?
Yes, very much so. Feel a lot less stressed out and anxious than I did when I first got off on the phone. So that's good.
Great. Is it okay that can we leave it where it is? Did you? So I want to thank you, Natalie, for being our volunteer and for demonstrating.
Yes. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, Natalie, thank you so much for volunteering.
Yeah.
And
thank you for having me.
You were fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course.
Thanks, Natalie. I wish you well in your
business.
Thank
you, guys. Thank you. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Take care.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.